Welcome to Live, life inspired views for every day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. The book I'm listening to now is entitled Main Street by Sinclair Lewis. It's a satire on small town American life. The story explores the life of a woman, Carol Milford Kennicott. After getting married to a small town doctor, she moves from the city life to a small prairie town. At first, she is determined to remake the town into one of culture, paralleling that in which she lived before she got married. Listening to it, I was reminded of my dad and his amazing variety of interests and hobbies. I decided to write down all those I could think of in one sitting. I know if I collaborated with my other four siblings, the list would get longer. My dad served rural churches as their pastor in South Dakota and Wisconsin. Here's a list of interests and hobbies he maintained an active connection to throughout his life: photography, taking and developing pictures; astronomy, he knew nearly all the constellations; camping, Boy Scouts, geology, physics and chemistry; languages, he studied about 8 languages as well as signing and braille; working with wood, carpentry, nature, he knew names of tons of plants and trees; conservation, practices, writing, reading, including philosophy, counseling, theories, theology, spiritualism, Eastern religions, great authors, anything on his hobbies; genealogy, repairing and restoring musical instruments, playing musical instruments, including reed, brass, and string; love of animals, efficiency at making do with whatever you have to fix something; inventing, music, singing in many groups, cooking breakfast for his family, preaching, counseling, tanning leather, sewing repairs with leather, farming, animal husbandry, hunting deer and squirrel, target shooting, building canoes, planting forests and understanding the nature of forests, geography, teaching Norwegian, and many more. He was literally a Renaissance man. So, the connection to the book Main Street that I'm listening to? Well, the main character in the book finds small town living a bit boring and trivial. She was used to what she would call fine culture. She couldn't see how these people could ever be interesting or why they would find contentment in the mundane and simple conversations and habits of life. My dad was extremely intelligent and grew up on a farm, working the fields and also in a makeshift sawmill with his father until his late 20s, when he went to college and then on to seminary to become a pastor. He loved the small town and rural life. He made it interesting by learning to know and love the people around him and indulging his curiosity in the variety of things he loved learning about, all without the internet. Whenever I asked him why he learned something, he would reply, "Oh, I was curious." One of his beautiful gifts was his love of passing on what he learned to others. It baffles me now how he became so knowledgeable about so many things while living in a small town in the prairies of South Dakota and then in several small towns in Wisconsin. We have become so accustomed to clicking a link on our computer to transport us down rabbit holes of information and research that could fill a room with printed paper in 1 hour. He had to gather his knowledge manually through books he could order or find in a library, magazines, and from those people around him who had the expertise he needed. It begs the question: do we indulge our interests, or does the time we would spend learning get eaten up with our fascination in hopping and skipping through social media, rabbit holes on the internet, or any other digital distraction, such as movies and TV, all done by our fingertips fumbling on a remote control? As we learn of all the artificial intelligence concerns and infiltration, I'm reminded that the human connection is still an innate need, connecting us to people emotionally and meaningfully. We must always seek human connection as we learn, just as my dad sought resources through his relationships with people from whom he could learn to bring meaning to his life. Dad didn't need to change the small rural towns to be like him, interested in an array of hobbies and topics. He just followed the path of his curious mind to where he could learn about them. In that way, he was fulfilled no matter where he was. When you are fulfilled, you are much more able to truly love those around you because you are not centered on your own happiness. Fulfillment in life comes when you learn that you cannot change others, you can only change yourself. Something Dad told us over and over. Perhaps when I finish listening to the book Main Street, Carol Kennicott will have learned that wisdom too. Hmm, I don't know yet. This week, on your bathroom mirror, write, I will be content learning about what is interesting to me so I can love others around me more fully. Join me next Monday for Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.